Hi. In this video, I want to introduce you to the notion of sonority, or sound, in your writing. The early rhetoricians engaged in public business orally, giving speeches to assemblies to argue for or against policies or courses of action, to juries to determine whether charges against individuals were credible or not, to gatherings to praise or condemn certain men or countries for their shining or monstrous examples. That oral practice is still with us in our psychology, as dozens of researchers have found that we verbalize words even when we read silently. This musicality is simple to apply, and like anything that draws attention to itself, you would use sparingly in order to preserve its function to provide emphasis, to evoke emotion, and to gain ethos by showing your attention to detail. The basis for sonority is repetition and rhythm, just as in any song you love to listen to or sing. In fact, you might think of sonority in your writing as a way to create an earworm, that experience of not being able to get a tune or lyric out of your head. That would be your aim using sonority. This video will cover repetition. I deal with rhythm in another video, which you can find in my YouTube channel. The simplest example of repetition is alliteration, when two or more words in a sentence are rhetorically related to each other and begin with the same consonant sound. Take a look at the following examples. When you have seen hate-filled policemen curse, kick, and even kill your black brothers and sisters. Note that in black brothers, the alliteration is coincidental, not rhetorical. To live for the moment is the prevailing passion. To live for yourself, not for your predecessors or posterity. It is, in fact, a mammal morgue. The collection holds 280,000 pieces of mammals, bones, skulls, scat samples, study skins, and mummies. Pundits, prophets, and politicians descended on the town, offering their services and peddling their solutions to France's problems. The opportunity for alliteration is often a matter of happy coincidence. Sometimes, though, you can find a synonym for one or more words in a sentence that will give you the repetition you want. Again, alliteration is uncommon, so it's perfect for emphasizing a concept or fact you want your reader to remember. Keep it uncommon. The second technique to achieve sonorous repetition is called anaphora, the repetition of words or phrases or sentences. The first example of this is from Shakespeare's Macbeth, in a lament by this king-killer that life is ultimately meaningless. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle! Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. The tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow is in this context a tolling of church bells mourning the pointlessness of our lives. It is an extraordinary but simple use of anaphora, and principally why people remember the speech. Note how Pastor Charles uses it to generate emotional as well as logical agreement from his audience in the following clip.
It is not my big lock on the door that makes me safe. It's not bars on the windows that make me safe. Do y'all hear me today? No. It's not a security guard at the front gate that makes me safe. It's not the alarm system that I have on the wall that makes me safe. It ain't whatever I got in the drawer next to the bed that makes me safe. No, I lay down and I go to sleep because I know who my God is. Hallelujah.
Wow. I don't know about you, but I find Reverend Charles's use of anaphora very moving, as each repetition ratchets the emotional content, further tightening the agreement he gets from his audience. It's quite a performance. I've argued elsewhere that you need emotional assent from your audience in order to get a fair hearing for your logical arguments. Anaphora, as you can see from the sermon, is one way to achieve that agreement. While there is no magical place to always reserve for anaphora in your essays, you'll find writers like Malcolm X and James Baldwin using it in the middle as well as the beginning and end of many of their essays or speeches. But it works superbly well as a climax to an argument, intensifying commitment, as does Reverend Charles with every repetition. When people text or tweet, they often emphasize a point by typing in all caps, a practice that goes back centuries. However, it is too often a sign of anger, and studies show that it is not as easy to read. The fact of repetition is intuitively understood, though, as this is important, and you get style points that increase your ethos. You're not just shouting through your typography. Technically, anaphora refers strictly to repetition of the beginnings of phrases or sentences, and epistrophe, the repetition of endings. Simploquy is the combination of the two. I will simplify the plethora of distinctions the Greeks made between different patterns and generalize anaphora to mean any repetition of those words, phrases, clauses, or sentences. The next example comes from the community organizer Saul Alinsky, author of Rules for Radicals. We live in a world where good is a value dependent on whether we want it. In the world as it is, the solution of each problem inevitably creates a new one. In the world as it is, there are no permanent happy or sad endings. Such endings belong to the world of fantasy, the world as we would like it to be, the world of children's fairy tales where they live happily ever after. In the world as it is, the stream of events surges endlessly onward with death as the only terminus. One never reaches the horizon. It is always just beyond, ever beckoning onward. It is the pursuit of life itself. This is the world as it is. This is where you start. Alinsky is trying to spike any romantic idealism that an aspiring organizer might feel. It too often flames out through frustrations with failure, leaving the would-be radical looking at early retirement. Here are some other examples. When you have a family squabble, you don't get out on the sidewalk. If you do, everyone calls you uncouth, unrefined, uncivilized, savage. Finally, we live beyond words as also we live beyond computation and beyond theory. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure, he is an honorable man. Antony's speech is highly ironic. The more honorable man is repeated, the less true the term honorable is. The greater the suspicion the audience is supposed to have of the leader of Caesar's assassins. So identify those arguments which you want your audience to remember, and see if either anaphora or alliteration are workable solutions. They won't always be, but when they are powerful. Otherwise, they'd never have survived rhetorical practice for over 2,000 years. In your next writing assignment, experiment with these two musical devices. Then, watch my other video on Sonority. That's it for this edition. If you found this video informative, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel below. You can find workbooks to practice your writing skills at Amazon and my blog through the links that follow. Thanks for listening.